Red soil, green blood. Corporal Liana Vega had barely been planetside an hour when Kureya 9 reminded her why it was called the Exile World. The red soil crunched under her boots as she led the forward recon team through the thick, steam-wreathed jungle. The air smelled of copper and decay, and the only sound beyond her own breath was the low hum of distant, alien insects. Every shadow shifted wrong. Every breeze felt like it carried eyes. "Keep it tight," she said over the comm. "We're not alone out here." Her team advanced in staggered formation. 5 other soldiers, all seasoned, all quiet. Their armor hissed softly with every step, matte black to avoid reflections. In the distance, thunder rumbled low and heavy, though the sky was clear. Kureya had its own rules. The mission was simple: sweep the ridge, tag any unusual biosigns, avoid contact. But Kureya didn't do simple. Something snapped to Liana's right, too loud, too deliberate. She raised a clenched fist. The team froze. Sensors flared. Something big was moving, fast. Then came the scream. Private Santos vanished mid-step, yanked into the trailing with a wet, choking cry. Blood sprayed across ferns. A second later, Corporal Juno opened fire. The plasma burst, lighting the jungle in blue. The thing, a blur of dark limbs and glinting chitin, moved through the fire like it wasn't there. It hit them like a storm. Liana saw Sergeant Hall's body crumple under a blow that shattered armor like paper. One by one, her team fell, their weapons useless against the thing's speed, its raw, terrifying power. She ran. Instinct overruled training. She bolted through the underbrush, branches slicing her face, lungs burning. The creature followed, silent now, but ever-present, like a shadow, like death itself. She tripped, slammed into a rock outcrop, and tumbled down a steep ravine. The world spun. Her helmet cracked. Something sharp bit into her leg. Darkness swallowed her. She woke to silence. Blood crusted her brow, and pain pulsed from her ankle. Her HUD flickered uselessly. She pulled off her helmet. The sky above shimmered with violet clouds. And the creature was there, 10 feet away, watching. It loomed like a nightmare, 12 feet tall, 6 legs coiled beneath its massive bulk, a long, segmented tail curled like a scorpion's whip. Its armor shimmered with deep green hues, broken only by the wet gleam of its jaws. Liana froze. Her pulse thundered in her ears. If it was going to kill her, it had every chance. But it didn't move. It just watched. Slowly, she shifted to sit up, wincing. The Vorrex, because that's what it had to be, the apex predator of Kureya, the reason this world remained untamed, tilted its head. She reached for a small stone and tossed it. It bounced harmlessly beside it. No reaction. Then she stood. Carefully. The creature mirrored her movement. "What do you want?" she whispered. It blinked. 1 step closer. She didn't run. Not this time. Not when she could feel something different. Curiosity, not hunger. Intelligence behind those golden eyes. Hours passed. Liana limped through the forest, keeping her pace slow and deliberate. The Vorrex followed. Not stalking. Not hunting. Just there. She found a dry cave near dusk and made a small camp from her emergency kit. The creature stayed just outside the ring of light, motionless. A silent sentinel. Sleep was impossible. But the fear, slowly, strangely, began to fade. She watched it, studied it. It could have crushed her in a heartbeat. But it didn't. Instead, it stayed. Tooth and trust. By morning, the pain in Liana's leg was a dull throb, and the Vorrex was still there. She'd half expected it to disappear into the jungle during the night, some phantom of the wilderness. But it remained, silent, watchful, patient, as if waiting for her next move. She tested her ankle. Sprained, not broken. She wrapped it with synth fiber gauze and stood, slowly. The Vorrex rose with her, all fluid muscle and armored grace. She couldn't help but marvel at it, how something that lethal could move so quietly, so precisely. "Still following me, huh?" she said, voice dry. "I'm not your pet, you know." It blinked once, then took a step forward. The distance between them had closed inch by inch overnight. Now it stood barely 10 feet away, close enough that she could see the delicate slits along its sides pulsing as it breathed. She lifted her arm. The Vorrex tilted its head, Carefully, she knelt, reached into her rations, and pulled out a protein bar. She unwrapped it and took a slow bite. Then she set the rest down on a flat rock, inching back. The creature approached, cautious but unafraid, and sniffed it. Then, to her shock, it gently nudged the bar aside and placed a chunk of bright green meat beside it. Something it had caught. It was sharing. Liana stared. "Okay," she murmured. "We're making deals now." They moved through the jungle together, an unlikely pair. Liana limped and mapped, recording biosigns and terrain for her unit. The Vorrex, whom she had started calling Core, ranged ahead, then circled back like a scout or a guard dog. Once, she stumbled into a dense thicket of razor vines, leaves edged like obsidian. Core moved before she could react, crushing the vines underfoot and clearing a safe path for her. It wasn't just instinct. It was protection. That night, Liana set a small fire in a stone pit and rationed the last of her water tabs. Core crouched nearby, its eyes reflecting the firelight like twin suns. She watched it clean its wounds, scars from plasma burns, maybe from earlier fights. There were 3 deep puncture wounds near its ribs. Recent. Against her better judgment, she approached, medical kit in hand. "Let me help," she whispered. Core tensed, but didn't strike. She worked fast, cleaning the wounds, applying seal gel, and wrapping the largest one. The creature's muscles twitched, but it made no sound. No threat. When she finished, it lowered its head. A gesture of acknowledgement. "You're welcome," she said. The next day, disaster struck. They stumbled onto a parasitic nest, twisted spires of chitin and pulsating sacs clinging to a dead tree. Before she could back away, the sacs burst, and a swarm of alien wasp things surged toward them. Liana fired into the air, but there were too many. One latched onto her neck, searing pain. Core roared. The sound split the jungle like thunder. It tore into the swarm with a fury Liana hadn't seen before, ripping wings and crushing bodies in midair. When it was over, the clearing was littered with twitching, broken things. Core rushed to her, sniffing at the wound. She swatted at it, dizzy and weak. "I'm fine, I think." Core didn't leave her side for the rest of the day. By late afternoon, they reached the edge of a ridge and spotted a crash site below, a downed recon shuttle, half buried in jungle growth. Hope surged through Liana. There might be comms gear, even supplies. They descended together, Core clearing the path. Inside the wreckage, she found a still functional emergency beacon. With shaking hands, she activated it, set the coordinates, and prayed someone was listening. "Help's coming," she whispered, slumping against the bulkhead. Core stood at the entrance, backlit by golden light, watching the sky, watching her. She looked at him, this beast of death and shadow, and saw something strange in its gaze. Not hunger, not instinct. Loyalty. The deadliest ally. They came at dawn, like Liana knew they would. Dropships roared overhead, venting heat into the jungle as Earth forces prepared to cleanse the valley. From her perch on the ridge, she could see the glint of weapons, the gleam of combat armor, and the blue glow of plasma turrets being deployed. Core stood beside her, his great form silhouetted by the morning mist. Behind him, the other Vorrex, 6 now, waited in silence. They didn't growl. They didn't posture. They listened. And they waited on her. Liana knelt and activated her datapad. A digital map bloomed in the air, highlighting the valley and the strike team's drop points. She'd stolen the tactical data on her way out. Now it was their advantage. She turned to the Vorrex. "We don't attack unless they fire first. No casualties if we can help it, but we can't let them wipe you out." Core's eyes glinted. He lowered his head in agreement. It was madness, she knew that. A court-martial offense, treason to some. But she didn't care. Because this wasn't about orders. This was about what was right. The ambush began with shadows. As soldiers advanced through the narrow choke points, Vorrex emerged from the canopy, swift, silent, coordinated. They didn't kill. They disarmed. Bodies were pinned, weapons snapped, gear scattered into the underbrush. Liana moved with them, using stun grenades and misdirection to buy time. Each engagement was precise, intentional. She could feel the training she'd endured on Earth merging with something older, more instinctual. The soldiers didn't know what hit them. Back at the command drop zone, Commander Rusk watched his feeds collapse. Unit Delta is offline. Echo has no visual. Sector 4 reports hostile restraint. He stared at the screen, jaw tightening. That's not possible, he muttered. They don't coordinate. They don't think. Behind him, a new report arrived. No fatalities. All teams subdued. Minimal injuries. And one signature moving straight toward his position. Bring the turret online, he snapped. She's coming. Liana stepped into the clearing unarmed, Core beside her. Rusk stood his ground, rifle raised. Around them, stunned soldiers sat on the grass, Vorrex standing over them like ancient sentinels. You've lost, she said simply. I'm not afraid of you, Rusk growled. Or your pet. Core growled low in his throat, not threatening. Warning. They're not pets, she said. They're people. Rusk aimed. That's enough. But Liana didn't flinch. You call them monsters. But they only became monsters after we tortured them. Bred them. Tried to turn them into weapons. Rusk's finger tightened on the trigger. And they still spared us. He hesitated. The silence stretched long and heavy. Then, slowly, Rusk lowered the rifle. Liana let out a breath. You want control. But what you really need is trust. Let them live. Let us study them. Together. The commander looked around, his men unharmed, their attackers standing down, disciplined. What the hell are you? He asked. Liana turned to Core. A survivor. Weeks later, the report made its way through Earth command channels. Unofficially titled the Curea Accord, it detailed a ceasefire, joint research missions, and the successful containment, not destruction, of the Vorrex species. Liana was reprimanded, demoted, then quietly reassigned to xenocultural outreach. Officially, her actions were reckless. Insubordination. Unofficially, she became a symbol. A video leaked, her standing beside Core, feeding him from her hand, as if they were equals. Public opinion shifted, and the term, ally species, entered the human lexicon. Liana stood again on the edge of the jungle. A different drop ship waited behind her, humming softly. She'd been ordered to leave, temporarily for the optics. Core approached, massive and quiet. She touched his jaw. I'll be back. He bowed his head. A promise made, a bond unbroken. They called him the deadliest beast on the planet. But in the end, he was the one who showed us what it meant to be human. Humanity is the real monster. The drop ship came at dawn, a black triangle cutting through the mist above the jungle. Liana stood outside the wreck, flares in hand, one arm raised high. Her body ached from exhaustion and injury, but adrenaline kept her upright. Beside her, Core crouched low in the undergrowth, hidden. When the transport touched down and the doors hissed open, she saw a dozen Earth Forces soldiers fan out, weapons raised. Relief surged in her chest, until she saw who led them. Commander Rusk. Cold-eyed. By the book. No interest in recon nuances or alien empathy. Liana limped forward, waving the flare. Corporal Vega, Rusk barked, eyes scanning her gear. Status report. I'm alive, she said. Everyone else is dead. His gaze flicked to the jungle behind her. What did it? She hesitated. One of the Vorrex, she said carefully. But it's not what we thought. Rusk's jaw clenched. You saw it. I've been traveling with it. 3 days. It's intelligent. Tactical. You let it here, he interrupted. Is it close? Liana's hand dropped to her side. I didn't lead it. It followed me. It's not hostile. Rusk raised a hand. Thermal scan. 10 meters northeast. Too late. Core stepped out of the shadows, towering and still. His golden eyes locked on Liana. He made no move toward the soldiers. The men shouted. Guns rose. No, don't. Liana screamed, stepping between them. It's not attacking. Rusk didn't blink. Stand down, Corporal. That is a Class X threat. You've been compromised. It saved my life. It's an apex predator. It brought me food. It guarded me while I slept. It protected me from the swarm. Rusk's eyes narrowed. You're delusional. Step aside. I won't. The silence that followed was brittle as glass. They detained Core in a high-voltage containment cage aboard the ship. He didn't resist. Liana sat alone in the medbay, watching through the observation window as Cor paced the edges of his enclosure. Not snarling, not lashing out, just confused, like a dog waiting for its owner. Rusk entered, datapad in hand. You're lucky, Vega. Normally, fraternizing with an alien combatant would mean a tribunal. But Command wants intel first. So you're going to debrief. She looked at him, exhausted. You don't understand. It's not an animal. It's not a weapon. He snorted. It killed over 200 colonists in the last 5 years. You don't think we provoked that? Rusk threw the datapad down. The screen lit up, showing classified footage, early colonial testing on Curea 9. Men in white coats, Vorrex cubs in containment, electroshock collars, autopsies. They tried to train them, Rusk said. Failed. So they scrubbed the project. Left the planet sealed. Until now. They tortured them, she said quietly. And they turned savage. Like anything would. That's why we're burning the site. No loose ends. Her eyes widened. You're going to wipe them out. We're sterilizing the zone. For human expansion. Liana stood. You don't need to kill them. They can learn. They can choose. Cor did. You're not a scientist, Vega. No. I'm a survivor. Because of him. That night, she made her decision. She hacked the security feed, disabled the perimeter field around Cor's cage, and walked in. Cor didn't move at first, just blinked at her. Then stepped forward, slowly, and lowered his head. She pressed her hand to his armor-plated brow. We're getting out of here. The alarms blared minutes later. Liana sprinted through the jungle, dodging searchlights, her ankle screaming. Cor ran beside her, fast and silent, a shadow in the trees. They found the ridge again, where the earth broke into a sprawling basin. In the moonlight, other shapes stirred in the distance. More Vorrex. 4, 5, maybe more. Watching. Cor stepped forward and let out a low, rumbling call. The others responded. No aggression. No challenge. Recognition. Liana turned to Cor. You're not the only one who remembers. He turned his head toward her, and for the first time, she felt something more than survival. She felt alliance,